Millions of miles of wire stretch across our continents to bring power from remote generators into city centers. But moving electricity across these vast geographical distances creates an immense physical strain, a vulnerability known to electrical engineers as the long-line problem. As alternating current travels further from its source, a physical lag develops between the power that is generated and the power that is received. This invisible strain is measured as a phase difference called the stability angle, or delta. The longer the transmission line, the wider the stability angle becomes. This diagram shows a crucial metric for the grid, known as the synchronizing power coefficient. It determines the system's ability to stay locked together. Notice that as the stability angle, delta, widens, this critical coefficient directly drops. The further the power travels, the weaker the system's grip becomes. Watch what happens to the connection on screen as the angle hits exactly 90 degrees. The coefficient flatlines. At this exact mathematical limit, the system crosses its steady-state boundary, permanently loses synchronism, and collapses. To prevent this 90-degree collapse, engineers have to artificially force the system's maximum power transfer capability, called Pmax, as high as possible. A continent-spanning power grid survives vast distances because operators actively manipulate the system's variables. They carefully engineer the grid to widen the gap between normal daily operation and catastrophic failure. That manipulation starts directly at the source. Inside a power plant, massive synchronous generators spin mechanical energy into electrical current. Comparing these electrical machines, left is a tightly packed induction motor conserving power factor. Right is a synchronous generator, intentionally built with a much wider air gap. Watch the magnetic flux lines across this gap. The extra distance weakens armature reaction, shrinking internal reactance. Plant operators also use a technique called over-excitation. By pumping extra field current into the rotor, they drive up the internal induced voltage, creating an immediate buffer of stability. Before a single watt of power ever hits the transmission lines, the physical dimensions and magnetic fields of the generator have already been configured to maximize stability. Once the power leaves the plant, it travels down the wires, where the primary engineering strategy is scaling the system up to extra high voltage. In the maximum power transfer equation, upgrading voltage exponentially boosts stability. Engineers also shrink the denominator, X, inductive reactance. Erecting parallel lines cuts reactance in half. Bundling conductors reduces magnetic inductance. Finally, inline series capacitors mathematically subtract from positive reactance. Every structural change to wires, from bundling cables to adding entire parallel towers, serves the singular mathematical purpose of shrinking electrical impedance to keep the stability angle low. But the most powerful intervention happens exactly halfway between the power plant and the city. At this location, engineers install a flexible AC transmission system, or FACS device. Packed with high-speed power electronics, it dynamically injects or absorbs reactive power from the grid to lock the voltage at this exact midpoint perfectly rigid. By anchoring voltage exactly in the center, the FACS device splits the transmission line mathematically into two separate lines, each with half the original reactance. Allowing each isolated half to hit its margin independently elegantly doubles the entire system's maximum power transfer limit. Injecting high-speed electronics at the literal halfway point turns one highly unstable boundary into two perfectly stable grids. And it achieves this without laying a single new wire. Looking at the macro topology of the grid, we can clearly map out where stability is forged: large gap generators at the source, highly compensated transmission lines, and rigid voltage anchors injected at the midpoint. All of this hardware exists to govern the steady-state stability limit. This limit is entirely separate from transient failures, like a violent lightning strike or a suddenly severed line. Steady-state stability is strictly about managing the quiet, gradual, and constant shifts in everyday human power consumption. It is the strain of millions of air conditioners turning on at noon, and factories quietly spinning up their assembly lines as the sun rises. The modern world operates seamlessly because electrical engineers continually outsmart the physical laws of long-distance transmission. By manipulating voltage, reactance, and magnetic fields, they ensure the invisible margin of grid collapse is never reached. Millions of megawatt hours flow continuously from generation facilities to population centers to sustain modern life. Society demands an uninterrupted, ever-increasing supply of electricity. But the physical wires that carry it are constrained by the physical properties of the metal. They cannot transport infinite energy. Engineers define this constraint through the steady-state stability limit. It is the absolute mathematical boundary of how much power can be transferred over a line under marginally stable conditions before the system fails. This schematic outlines an ABCD network connecting a generator to a receiving city. The equation dictates the exact power transferred, calculated by balancing voltages against impedance and load angles. Finding the threshold of maximum capacity requires differentiating this equation. The maximum is reached strictly when the load angle exactly matches the impedance angle. On a 220 kilovolt system with a 72-degree impedance angle, matching the load angle to 72 degrees resolves to an absolute ceiling, exactly 385.95 megawatts. Pushing even a fraction of a megawatt past that resulting load angle breaks the physical resistance holding the system together. The generators lose their magnetic lock, the network loses synchronism, and the grid collapses. Preventing a blackout requires engineers to find mathematical techniques to bypass this rigid limit, rather than simply building larger power plants. This formula card illustrates the simplified proportionality rule governing the stability limit. Maximum power capacity is proportional to the square of the operating voltage divided by the line's reactance. The first method to expand capacity targets the numerator. By stepping up the grid's operating voltage, doubling it, for example, the total energy density within the line increases. Because the relationship is quadratic, doubling the voltage calculates out to a quadrupled maximum power limit. However, engineers cannot scale voltage upward indefinitely. As the potential increases, the air itself can become conductive, requiring increasingly massive tower structures and complex insulation to prevent the high-energy arcs that would destroy the infrastructure. This schematic shows a transmission line's baseline impedance. Instead of increasing the voltage, engineers can manipulate the denominator of the power equation by inserting series capacitive compensation directly into the circuit. The inserted capacitive reactance creates a direct mathematical subtraction against a line's natural inductive reactance, lowering the total impedance. Applying a 25% compensation drops the effective line reactance down to 3/4 of its original value. Shrinking the denominator proportionally scales up the total power the line can safely carry. Over hundreds of miles, continuous transmission lines accumulate so much natural inductive reactance that standard series capacitors lose their effectiveness. To solve this, grid operators utilize midpoint compensation. They deploy active reactive elements, like STATCOMs, precisely in the center of the grid to actively split the transmission line into smaller electrical segments. This diagram shows a long line with a total reactance of 0.2 per unit. By actively clamping the voltage at the precise center point, the STATCOM node physically splits that total reactance exactly in half. This equation maps the required physical balance. For the system to hold, the power transferred from the alternator out to this new midpoint must perfectly equal the power moving from the midpoint to the receiving end. By artificially holding that midpoint voltage steady at 1.1 per unit, the STATCOM shores up the sagging power potential over the long span. Combining that boosted midpoint voltage with the halved line reactance calculates out to a significant increase in the stability limit, reaching 12.1 per unit. By mathematically cutting the distance in half, grid engineers can effectively double the grid's power ceiling without laying a single mile of new wire. Calculating a maximum capacity is a theoretical exercise, but pushing a physical grid to that absolute ceiling guarantees an eventual system collapse. This gauge visualizes the stability margin, calculating the breathing room between active power and absolute peak capacity. If operators mandate a 40% margin to absorb disturbances, this buffer directly dictates the maximum safe operating load angle. The final safeguard is the synchronized power coefficient, measuring the magnetic rigidity between generators. Applying the cosine component isolates this coefficient. A highly stable metric, like 1.6 per unit, proves the grid has the synchronizing power to hold together under stress. The result is an optimized electrical network, continuously transferring vast amounts of energy, safely balanced against the boundary of its physical limits. Modern civilization functions because these calculated mathematical margins are monitored every second, keeping the entire grid in a state of precise, controlled synchronization. Every time a factory powers up or a city goes to sleep, the electrical grid must respond instantly. But electricity itself has no mass. To maintain continuous flow, mechanical power pushing the generators must perfectly match the electrical power demanded in real time. When grid demand suddenly drops or spikes, electrons don't absorb the shock. That physical force is absorbed directly by the spinning mechanical turbines. This diagram visualizes the swing equation as a dynamic scale, balancing mechanical power input, PM, against electrical power output, PE. Their difference is accelerating power, PA. When PA is positive, meaning input exceeds demand, the rotor physically accelerates. If negative, the machine violently decelerates. A power swing is a literal physical rotation. Colossal machines weighing hundreds of tons fight against the physics of momentum to maintain systemic balance. How do these structures survive a sudden mismatch in power without tearing themselves apart? A generator's defense is the kinetic energy stored in its spinning mass at synchronous speed. Dividing this kinetic energy by the machine's rating, G, finds the inertia constant, H. Factoring H against system frequency and electrical radians calculates momentum, the swing equation's M variable. To accurately calculate the mechanical input power in the real world, the units must be uniform. When turbine input is measured in standard British horsepower, it is multiplied by exactly 746 watts to establish a functional baseline. These variables measure the literal physical armor a generator relies on to absorb shocks and resist systemic failure. Fortunately, individual turbines do not face these disturbances alone. A power plant is part of a larger grid, where multiple units share the load. To analyze multiple generators, their inertia constants are converted to a common base MVA. Coherent units in the same station directly sum their inertia into a single entity. Separate stations on tie lines act non-coherently. Their reduced mass system divides their momentum's product by its sum. The vast, decentralized layout of a modern grid uses interconnected mathematical counterweights to dilute local disturbances across hundreds of miles. After a disturbance is absorbed, the grid does not instantly snap back to its previous state. The generators must actively hunt for a new equilibrium. This graph charts the power angle relationship, the boundary condition for the generator's electrical output. It multiplies the steady-state power limit by the sign of the power angle, delta. To match the new load requirements, the machine physically shifts its operating angle along this curve, finding the exact fraction of its maximum limit needed to balance the system. As the rotor hunts for this precise angle, it triggers low-frequency physical oscillations that propagate across the interconnected tie lines. These systemic ripples show the entire network physically shifting its posture to accommodate the sudden change in demand. The outcome of this power swing depends on a single factor: whether these oscillations will decay back into stability or amplify until the grid collapses into a blackout. This graphic overlays a waveform with the natural frequency characteristic equation. The natural frequency is derived by dividing the synchronizing power coefficient, PS, by the momentum, M. The most critical variable here is the damping coefficient, represented by D. When damping impacts are introduced into the equation, they subtract from the natural frequency, forcing the violent swings to eventually decay over time. If the damping coefficient drops to 0, the formula simplifies. The system becomes completely undamped, and the physical oscillations continue perpetually. A sudden mismatch between mechanical input and electrical demand forces a generator to accelerate. Its inherent kinetic energy absorbs the impact. The surrounding power network shares the burden, and the system's damping forces choke out the resulting oscillations. The power grid is a massive, interconnected mechanical beast. The continuous synchronization of these colossal rotors is the mechanical heartbeat keeping the modern world alive. Look at a continent at night, and you see billions of individual lights, but electrically, you are looking at a single, continuous machine. This machine has a critical flaw. It cannot store what it makes. The electricity required to power a display or read a book at midnight must be generated the exact millisecond the device is turned on. This diagram represents a concept called synchronism. It shows the perfect, rigid balance required between the mechanical power entering the grid from power plants and the electrical power drawn out by consumers. If generators produce even slightly more or less than the exact demand, that scale tips. Frequencies drift, voltages collapse, and within seconds, protective relays will sever connections to save the equipment, triggering a cascading blackout. Keeping the lights on means waging a continuous, invisible war, pitting the raw physical momentum of spinning turbines against the electromagnetic resistance of the grid itself. The origin point of that equilibrium sits inside cavernous industrial halls, massive steel rotors spinning at thousands of revolutions per minute. In this wireframe, mechanical horsepower entering the shaft, PM, must exactly match electrical megawatts exiting the stator, PE. If demand drops, a 19-megawatt input against a 16-megawatt load creates a 3-megawatt surplus. This excess power instantly converts into accelerating torque, dangerously speeding up the rotor. Engineers counteract this using the inertia constant, designated as H, and the machine's kinetic energy. A stator generator might hold nearly 500 megajoules of kinetic energy, measured against its baseline rating. The sheer physical weight of tons of spinning steel acts as a massive buffer. It physically absorbs that 3-megawatt spike in accelerating power, slowing down the frequency drift and buying time for control valves to adjust the steam. Long before complex software can react to a disturbance, the brute physical momentum of spinning steel provides the initial shock absorption that keeps the grid from collapsing. Once power leaves the plant, it enters a vast network of high-voltage transmission towers stretching towards cities. Every transmission line has a strict physical cap on how much energy it can carry before the sending and receiving ends lose synchronism. Engineers call this the steady-state stability limit. This visualization reveals the primary obstacle, reactance. Adding a shunt inductor increases transfer reactance, tightening flow. Swapping for a shunt capacitor lowers reactance, widening the path. Inserting a series capacitor directly cancels the line's natural reactance, pushing the maximum power transfer limit significantly higher. A turbine can generate all the power in the world, but surgical mathematical adjustments to line reactance determine whether that energy actually survives the journey. Power grids consist of thousands of parallel lines and intermediate substations, creating a sprawling, complex web that is mathematically impossible to evaluate at a glance. To find the true stability limit of the entire system, engineers use star-delta conversions, mathematically reducing chaotic parallel lines and intermediate nodes down to a single equivalent transfer reactance. When a disturbance hits, coherent generators close geographically or on the same bus naturally swing together. Their individual inertia constants are converted to a common base and added up, combining a 24 and 12 megajoule per MVA unit into one massive equivalent system inertia. Through this equivalency, dozens of isolated turbines form a single, unified mathematical flywheel, distributing the immense physical stress of a power surge across an entire region. All of this math, physics, and heavy machinery exists to serve the simple, thoughtless actions we take every day. When you flip a light switch, you instantly increase the electrical load on the grid. In that exact fraction of a second, you are exerting a literal, physical drag on a steel turbine spinning hundreds of miles away. Modern civilization relies entirely on our ability to manage this reaction. We survive because the kinetic energy of tons of spinning steel absorbs the initial blow, and the careful manipulation of line reactance ensures the energy can flow fast enough to balance the equation. The wall socket is simply the terminus of a massive, delicately tuned machine spanning continents, a machine that can never, under any circumstances, afford to lose its equilibrium.